Welcome to our session entitled Climate Shark, Real-World Examples of Climate Resilience Through Water Security. I'm Dorcas, the Deputy Director at Water Witness, and I'll take you through the session today. We've got 3 presentations for you with video clips so that you can hear directly from those affected, those who are not in the room with us today. They are testimonies from our colleagues and communities we work with who are driving solutions day in and day out. Throughout the sessions, we're looking for your questions and insights via Mentimeter and through the webinar chat box. There will be time to address some key questions after each presentation. So we're going to give you a little sneak preview of the questions here. So what connections do you see? What do you see as potential challenges? And then any open questions that you would like to ask. Thank you very much. But first of all, we've got a nice, easy question for you. And that is, to start off, please let us know where you're joining from. It's often been said that if climate change is the shark, then water is its teeth. And when that bite lands, we feel it first through devastating floods, prolonged droughts, and shifting rainfall that makes our fresh water less reliable, contaminates safe drinking water, and even breaks down sanitation systems. And that's the bite that really hurts. That same bite tears through our watersheds, our ecosystems, and our infrastructure. It exposes cracks in regulation and shows us so clearly how our systems are falling far behind compared to the pace of change. So the real question is, how do we blunt the impact of that bite? And can we slow the shark itself? The answer begins with water governance. As we've heard many times this week, water governance has to be at the heart of climate action, and climate must be at the top of every political agenda. But water governance doesn't improve on its own. It takes skilled people, it takes finance, and critically, it takes accountability. And what do we mean by accountability? It means holding those in power to account. It means standing with others to do the same in order to shape laws, policies, investments, and practice, and so that water is safer, fairer, and more secure for all. And accountability takes many forms, some of which we'll discuss with you today, from social accountability, speaking truth to power, to legal accountability through public interest litigation and enforcement. At Water Witness International, this is core to our work. Together with our partners, we build robust evidence. We support those most vulnerable to water insecurity and hit hardest by climate change to raise their priorities with decision makers, to be heard, to hold decision makers to account. Today, we'll share just some of the ways this happens. For example, through investigative journalism and action research that are necessary to shine a spotlight on hidden problems and build public pressure, through film and storytelling that brings human voices and the injustices people face to the forefront. We'll also speak about the importance of people who already face serious climate risks being heard at decision-making tables, and of civil society and community action that translates evidence into petitions, lawsuits, and reforms. But let me be clear, this isn't just a show and tell of our work. We're not here just to tell you Water Witness is wonderful and these are all the lovely things we do. We want this to be a conversation, and we want it to be a conversation with you. As we share our case studies today, we want to hear in the chat box or on Mentimeter or in an email what you're doing and how we might collaborate. Because not only are governance and accountability critical, but they're also hard to fund and even harder to sustain without collective action. We've got exciting ways to tell you about for CSOs, individual researchers, investigative journalists, and also for donors and development partners to be involved. So listen in. Perhaps you've got other ways. Do you want to get involved or do you want to get more involved? Because building climate resilience through water security will take everyone, governments, communities, civil society, donors, development partners, and the private sector, to name but a few. As I said, we want this session to be as interactive as possible. So I hope that you've all been able to join the Mentimeter. And as I said, not only have we got the first question for you, but we've also got some guiding questions after each of the sessions. So please keep your eye out for those. I'd now like to introduce my colleagues, Isaias Samuel, the Regional Programme Manager and Fair Water Action Lead based in Ethiopia, Walter Chinangwa, the Country Lead from Water Witness in Malawi, and Lexi Parfit, the Director of Public and Political Engagement based in Scotland. Isaias will start by sharing real examples of partners working with the Fair Water Action Fund. This innovative fund helps partners improve water governance, boost accountability, and amplify community voices for better water security. So over to you, please, Isaias.
Okay, thank you, Lucas, for the introduction. And thank you all for being here today, for dedicating your time and also for your interest in this session. So I'm here to share some real stories of communities, activists, journalists, and researchers who are working on the front line of water injustice. These stories come from South Africa, Zimbabwe, Morocco, and Peru. They reveal water rights violation, water pollution, and unsustainable water use. But more importantly, they reveal courage, the courage of people demanding accountability, demanding climate action, and demanding dignity. As we listen to them, one thing becomes clear. These challenges are not just local, so they are tied with global trade, global equity, and global climate resilience. So today I invite you to view water not just as a resource, but as a lens that reflects wider climate crisis, exposing the links between ecosystem, communities, and accountability. So let's begin with South Africa.
I don't have sound. I wonder if other people have the same problem.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't hear anything. Can we play it again?
Please, could we restart with the sound? Thanks. We still don't hear. William, is it possible to have your support? Thanks.
Yes. So Gina, do you see when you share your screen, do you see a share sound button as well?
Our water is becoming scarce. But they
Thank
want
you
the
so
poor
much.
people
That's
to
great.
pay for the crisis that we are. Our water is becoming scarce. But they want the poor people to pay for the crisis that we are not responsible for.
Our children is thirsty. We don't shower, we don't wash because we can't. We must just be happy.
Government has no idea.
My fellow Cape Townians, the purpose we have chosen to fulfill is to turn Cape Town into a beacon of hope.
In Cape Town, one of those difficult things is the state of our sanitation infrastructure, the investment in which has not kept up with the growth in the population of our city. You've got to fix it, and that requires revenue. There's no two ways about it.
Cheers.
What you've got is a failure of management systems, and you keep blaming the poor people.
You dispute the fact that there's any other contributing factor other than the sewage works. But that's just not true. I'm sorry, but
the current water policy is perpetuating water apartheid. It's racist. It's structurally racist.
Die probleme begin wat die meter en die watermeter wat dit kom insit is.
Ja, man, as week so, as jy minder water gebruik, hy eet dit word aan die einde van die maand, dan kat hulle af en mekaar weer met die.
We are all using water on basic needs. I didn't see any one of you list a swimming pool.
Many of us are sitting at home wondering what to do about climate change. And one of the best things you can do is defend your local farmland, but nobody thinks about it until it's gone.
They make me really angry. They announced a rezone that's going to destroy our area.
I have become disillusioned, but I think sometimes they rely on activists getting tired, giving up, and life happening and moving on to other things, and nobody holds them accountable.
This is not the end of it. This is only the beginning. Water is a human right. And we are all human beings. We are here because we are saying no. No more. Enough is enough.
Okay, sorry about the technical issues at the beginning. So the film you just saw was produced by our partner from South Africa, Cape Town, Human Rights Media Trust. This movie has been screened in community halls, at international film festivals, and also even featured on Al Jazeera. What it shows us is water security risk and mismanagement are not abstract issues. They intersect with natural resource destruction like wetlands and others, leaving people more vulnerable than ever. And communities are finding voice through film and storytelling. So if you are interested to watch the full movie, you can the full film. You can scan this QR code. It's also available. You can just search capturing water. So now let's move to Zimbabwe. So in Zimbabwe, we are working with two partners. One investigates the impact of mining on water security. For example, lithium, for instance, uses a huge amount of water. An investigation in 6 mining hotspots showed that pollution is spreading, and communities living nearby are daily struggling for safe water. And the other partner works on urban water pollution. Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe, is established on wetlands. And these wetlands once acted as a natural sponge, absorbing flood and storing water. But today, as the city expands, wetlands are being destroyed. So untreated waste from industries municipalities flow into rivers and also lakes. So as a result, communities are exposed to polluted water, while ecosystems that could help buffer climate change are disappearing. So in both cases, water insecurity is not just an environmental issue, so it is a human issue, which shapes health, livelihood, and the right to dignified life. So from Zimbabwe, let's move to north, to Morocco. So here, the story is linked with global market. So Morocco is one of the largest suppliers of fresh produce to Europe. In fact, 1 in 3 tomatoes eaten in UK comes from Morocco. Between 2017 and 2022, tomato exports to UK grew by 600%. So, but behind this success is hidden crisis. Most of this production depends on groundwater, and aquifers are being pumped faster than they can be replenished. So yeah, sooner or later, farmers and communities are going to watch wells dry. Morocco has invested heavily in dams and irrigation infrastructures, but infrastructure alone cannot solve problems. So what we need is a stronger, more comprehensive framework for sustainable water use. So one that balances export with local needs and also climate realities. So finally, let's move across South America to Peru, Ica Valley. So one of the world's largest supplier of fruit and vegetables to Europe, similar with Morocco. So here the fields look abundant in the middle of the desert, but the truth is this abundance relies almost entirely on groundwater pumping. So our study revealed that about 70% of this water use is illegal, and the injustice goes deeper because of water inequalities. So large agro-export companies have priority, while nearby communities often lack access to basic needs. And again, climate change is making things worse. Peru has already lost significant portion of its glaciers, which were once vital source of fresh water. So weak governance adds to the pressure, leaving people caught between water scarcity and inequality. Next slide. Yeah, so what do these 4 cases, like from South Africa, Zimbabwe, Morocco, and Peru have in common? They show us that investigative journalism and research can uncover the truth, and also storytelling and film makes injustice visible to the wider world, and civil society and communities can turn evidence into advocacy and advocacy into action. So yeah, together these tools create accountability, and accountability is what turns the despair into hope. So finally, let me end with a call to action. At the Fairwater Action Fund, we work with partners across Africa and beyond, but the demand is overwhelming. In our latest round, we received over 700 applications, but we could only support a small fraction. So yeah, there are 3 ways you can join us. One is providing technical support, share your skills and expertise with our partners on the ground, and then second, become a funding partner alongside foundations like Hewlett Foundation, Swedish Lottery Foundation, So we need more resources to match this scale of demand. And finally, you can be a voice. So help amplify these stories, bring them into your platforms, and show that water injustice is climate injustice. So because in the end, when we talk about water, we are talking about climate action. So we are talking about building a fair water footprint that drives sustainable water abstraction, that demands zero pollution, protects nature, ensures equitable access to safe water, and also confronts climate chaos to secure the future of our planet. So thank you. Back to you, Dorcas.
Thank you very much, Isaias. That's great. Thank you. Right. Now what we would like to do is see if we have any questions from you here today. As we said, we'd like this to be interactive. So if you have something you'd like to raise or a question you'd like to ask, then you can put it into the Mentimeter or you can put it into the chat. Those examples that Isaias gave, as he said, these are all applicants to the Fair Water Action Fund who put forward some very, very interesting proposals. So we look for really interesting proposals. We also look for development partners who are willing to fund such an innovative venture that really can, with a small fund, make a big difference. So we're always looking to have everybody join us in that venture. Do we have any immediate questions for Isaias? Please, can you share the link to the Capturing Water film in the chat? Okay, can I ask our wonderful support team if they would do that for us? That would be great. To Gina, to Rihanna, and to Lexi, that would be super. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other immediate questions? If there's something that you would like to think about and you would like to email us, then we'll give you the email contact at the end as well. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. That's also fine. Okay. So without more ado, so thank you very much, Isaias, for your presentation. Without more ado, I'm going to move over to Walter Chinangwa from Malawi, and he's going to give us a short presentation on how water security and climate justice come together through the Climate Just Communities programme supported by the Scottish Government. He'll focus on real-world challenges and solutions with a short video. After that, we'll open up for questions again, so feel free to share them again on the chat or on the Mentimeter, or if it's your preference to email those questions to us later, we're happy for any of those routes. So over to you, please, Walter. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dorcas. My internet is a little bit sketchy, so I might kindly ask that I put my video off, but I hope you have seen my face. Apologies for the bandwidth is a little bit slow. So thank you, Dorcas, and hi, everyone. My name is Walter Chinangwa. I lead the Water Witness Malawi organization, and we are part of the Climate Just Communities program. This is a Scottish funded program that is being implemented by a consortium that includes DAI UK, IIED, Link Education, Link Community Development, as well as ourselves, Water Witness. And we also do have our local partners, Evangelical Youth and Development Services, World Relief, Catholic Development Community, as well as other civil society networks like the Civil Society Network on Climate Change. So our goal is quite simple, but very urgent. We aim to support most climate vulnerable communities through fair, inclusive, and practical solutions that strengthen resilience and water security. Now, for a country like Malawi that faces repeated climate shocks, droughts, floods, cyclones, which disrupt lives, damage to water infrastructure, and deepen poverty, communities are at the front line of the of climate change, yet often excluded from decision-making and resources. So CJC is about changing that, making sure communities are at the heart of climate adaptation. Next slide, please. So what we're trying to achieve with the CJC program, our program objectives are quite straightforward. We want to strengthen capacities of communities so they can anticipate, respond, and recover from the impacts of climate change. Number two, we want to support the most marginalized individuals. We make sure that the most marginalized people, this includes women, youth, and other vulnerable groups, are not left behind, but are supported to take action. We also are trying to amplify voices of communities in climate justice. Communities are leading, and we're supporting them to lead in advocacy for fair water allocation and equitable services. Number four, which is the last objective, is we're trying to create a long-term sustainable change. So our focus is on long-term sustainable change, not short-term fixes that are not sustainable, but solutions communities can own, maintain, and grow. So together, these four objectives are there to ensure that Climate Just Communities program is not only tackling today's climate risks, but building a fairer and more resilient future for generations to come. So how do we actually deliver on these objectives? You might wonder. So here are just some of the practical ways that we've put in practice. Firstly is we focus on strengthening WASH knowledge and skills. We work with local development partners, community structures to build knowledge and skills around WASH. This means training committees, district officers, even civil society groups, so that water, sanitation, and hygiene interventions are managed better and are long-lasting. Secondly, we also focus at national level advocacy. So we try to make sure that we're bringing community voices to the national level where policies are developed, ensuring that what people are saying on the ground actually informs sector policies and budget allocations if there is need for resources to address certain challenges that communities are facing. So through our engagement in platforms like joint sector reviews, communities' concerns are now influencing Malawi's water and climate policies, but also national strategies and plans so that we are incorporating real issues on the ground and how policies can actually help facilitate in terms of addressing them. Three, we are improving disaster risk management and livelihood security for vulnerable communities. We support these communities not only to respond to disasters, but to prevent and prepare for them. At the same time, we build resilience through livelihoods from vocational, apologies. At the same time, we're trying to build resilience through secure livelihoods. We have done a lot of interventions focused on vocational training for the youth, promoting climate smart farming, alternative income opportunities. And lastly, addressing loss and damage. This is the biggest thing that a lot of vulnerable communities are experiencing. So how do we build focused on inclusion? So our aim here is we address issues of loss and damage, promote resilient schools, strengthen WASH and inclusion. This ensures that it's not only about infrastructure, but about dignity, equity, and leaving no one behind. So our short approach combines local capacity, national advocacy, practical resilience actions, and ensuring that climate justice is realized through water security. So in the CJC program, we understand that water security is a frontline with climate resilience, especially for a country like Malawi. So Climate Just Communities program is trying to show and lead the way when communities, to ensure that when communities are actually leading and government and other investors, as well as CSOs and other local development partners are backing them, and we can build for the future, a fair future, resilient and sustainable. So I'll leave you with the quote that we had from one of our meetings. The time to turn water and security into climate resilience is now. So it's not just about adaptation. It's about justice in action. But however, we are still experiencing a lot of challenges, and I would want those that have joined us on this online session to just listen to the next video so that you can see and appreciate some of the things that we are actually facing on the ground.
Kusintha kwa nyengo ndi mmene no timasanitsa nyengo mmene idalili mbuyo ndi mmene panopa ilili mukangati kuno kwa Chapananga mmene no mvula imagwerano masiku a mbuyo ndi mmene panopa ikugwera timona tino nyengo yatani yasintha.
Right now, if you go into the communities, most of the challenges that are coming in terms of climate change are flooding, which is damaging infrastructure. This infrastructure is there to help build the resilience of the communities, but as climate change is happening, those infrastructures, because they are not resilient, they are being damaged and exposing the communities and making them more vulnerable to climate impacts.
For example, in the recent years, there was Cyclone Freddy. The passing of Cyclone Freddy damaged boreholes in the schools and also in the communities at large.
CJC program, we are trying to help communities build resilience. However, it is still challenging to make sure that we all are working together in terms of government, supporting on the technical capacity it has, CSOs coming in with resources, but also specialized technical support. Together with the communities, there is need for us to sit down and develop a well-documented and community-led intervention program that can help address the climate challenges that the communities are facing.
Timakhala kusakatula mavuto kumudzi tikachoka kuma VDC timagayika mavuto aja mu mndandanda ndi kukapeza vuto lathu kuti vuto nambala 1 ndi chani. Tikayika mavuto aja kuti tili nawo ndi kuti timakhala tikugogoda kuboma ngati mabungwe so tili nawo timathanso kuwapemphaso kuti atithandizire ku nkhani ya madzi.
The role of taking care of water is very big. A single organization cannot manage. So it is the role of each and every person to be there and do whatever they can to have safe water.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to see the video and appreciate what was communicated in the video. So I share back to you, Dorcas, for the Q&A session.
Thank you very much, Walter. Thanks for your input and for your video. That was really very much appreciated. Do we have any questions for Walter? While you're thinking of that, I just want to go back and pick up a question in the chat from Andy Roby, which was saying, do you ever link the cost of water insecurity to growth of the economy? And before I put that over to Isaias, I just want to say very briefly that yes, we do, because the cost of water insecurity will push down food production in agriculture. It'll push down, we see a lot of siltation of hydropower dams. We see a lot of drying out and major cuts in electricity. We see a lot of industries that are not able to function because of floods and droughts because they're heavily water dependent and they don't know when they're going to have that, so have access to those. And of course, people's health. So yes, there's a clear line that water insecurity is very, very costly to the growth of the economy. If Isaias or Walter has anything to add to that, I'd be happy for them to add.
Yes, thank you, Dorcas. I think that's very critical and complex question. I mean, water is not just an input, it's a shared resource. So that's where the links come in. It also plays significant role, especially when we consider the virtual or the embedded water export. So most of the exports like fresh vegetables or textile or others have impact, in the value chain, where the water security risk is very, very, very critical. So as you rightly said, yes, we create the link, and we consider the impact of water in the economic growth and development. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I think I would just want to agree with Isaias, and also just to put Malawi in perspective that for Malawi, water insecurity directly slows down the economic growth because we're an agri-based economy. So this reduces how efficient our productivity can be, whether it's farming, whether even in the health sector, issues where you have health costs being driven up by poor sanitation. So yes, in Malawi, this means a lower GDP, loss of jobs, weakened investments. So to put it simply, water resilience is an economic resilience. So we need to understand that water is the driving factor for so many economies. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Isaias. On the next question there, you've said, is there a figure we can use for advocacy, like a reduction in GDP? I've put in the chat that we can certainly look into it. Because of the complexities, it's hard to come up just with one clear number, but I think we can certainly look into it, into the research that's been done around that, and we can come back to you on that. That's fine. Any other questions from the floor before I move on? Okay, so next I'm going to turn to Lexi, who'll share us a short video clip that sets the scene for our discussion on how legal levers are driving corporate accountability on climate resilience, from Malawi to the UK courts, in Fairwater Footprints in the Lee Day case. This could be a test case for future actions, especially as legal ways to address corporate reputational risk are on the rise. It really shows us why Fairwater Footprints matter, why doing climate adaptation well is so important, and the powerful connection between corporate accountability and climate resilience is something that all should be paying attention to. Again, we'll take some questions at the end, so please feel free to put them in the chat or respond on Mentimeter. Thank you. Over to you, please, Lexi.
Thank you, Dorcas. Thank you also, Isaias and Walter, and the great questions that have come in so far. Yeah, so I'd like to talk to you a little bit about a question that we are looking at in great depth at Water Witness at the moment, which is how can legal mechanisms help to deliver corporate accountability for climate and water justice? We know water security is at the core of climate resilience for communities, but it's also the case for businesses and economies. Water Witness is one of the founding partners of the Fairwater Footprints programme, which sits under the UK government FCDO's Just Transition for Water Security programme. So we're collaborating with partners at CDP, Chatham House and IIED to essentially transform the way that water is used in global supply chains to ensure fair and sustainable water use becomes the global business norm. So we're working with governments, corporates, financial institutions and civil society to create supply chains where there is zero water pollution, zero nature degradation, wash access for all workers, fair and sustainable abstraction, and climate resilience baked into supply chains. And as part of this work, as well as kind of, research and direct stakeholder engagement, we're looking at all the different types of levers available to drive corporate accountability on human rights, water and climate harms across the supply chain and in their operations. So whether that's OECD complaint mechanisms, looking closely at the safeguards that are built into government trade agreements, or indeed legal cases. And I want to share with you today the story of the people of Kanseche in Malawi to explain how we believe that a corporation essentially strengthened its own climate resilience at the expense of the neighbouring community's climate vulnerability. So in the image that you can see here on the left, you can see the flooded out remains of Kanseche village. But in the sort of top left half of the image, you can see the sugar plantation that is owned by Alovo Malawi, who are in turn owned by Associated British Foods, a UK-based multinational company. And on the right-hand image, you can see the embankments that Alovo Malawi built around their sugar plantation to protect their crops from climate impacts like flooding. Now, with support of Water Witness and the UK legal firm Lee Day, more than 1,700 Malawians are taking a class action against Associated British Foods. And we want to explore how this one case could not only maybe help get redress for the people of Kanseche, but could also help to catalyse systems level change in how corporates address water and climate risks in their operation by laying bare the reputational, physical and financial risks of failing to do so appropriately. But firstly, I'd like you to hear from the people of Kanseche directly with their own testimony. In the next clip, you'll hear from Luke John and Fachi Sumela. Now, noting this is a live legal case, it's important to note that the company in question, Associated British Foods, who own Alovo Sugar Malawi, deny the allegations. But let's hear from the villagers themselves.
Atangopanga kumene ife anthu mmudzi tinali ndi nkhawa zinatikhudza kwambiri otizetsa kuti zingathe kudzatipangira chiopsezo kutsogolo pamene ife tinkakhala ukoko madzi akati abwera mtsinje kati asefukira amadusa mtima khwawa kupita uku koma chifukwa cha kukhazikitsa kwa munda uku ndi kukumba dreni iyi kunapangisa zoti madzi aja akabwera amachita block kubwera kwa cyclone Anai chifukwa cha daiti imene iyo anayikhazikitsa uku inapangisa zoti ititsinge ifeyo madzi asowe kolowa mapeto ake nyumba zathu akatundu china chilichonse chinapita tinasowa mtendere tinasowanso kothawira.
Ndine committee member wa VCPC ya Kanseche ndipo ndi anthu amene tinagwira ntchito ya kupulumutsa anthu ku nkhani ya ngozi floods madzi a cyclone Ana. Ndipo mtengo umene anthu tinagwiritsa ntchito kuwapulumutsira ndi umene uli apawo. Madzi amagwa ndipo madzi amayenda mmene angayendere. Koma chifukwa chonena kuti ukoko kunamangidwa dike ndikuonesa kunena kuti madziwo amabwerera ndikumaononga pamene anapangisa kuti tiluze miyoyo ya anthu komanso tiluze ziweto tiluze nyumba zimene tinali nazo china chilichonse chimene chimakhala ndi munthu chimene chimadalira pa moyo wake chinaluzika chifukwa cha madzi chifukwa cha kutchinga kwa dike. Zikuonesa kunena kuti moyo umene tikukhala nawo pano ndi moyo umene uli wovuta kwambiri. Kuonesera kunena kuti ndi moyo osiyana ndi umene unalili kale.
Malo awo atakhalako zaka zambirimbiri koma kuti tingathekhalanso ndi chiganizo choti tingathibwiriranso pamalo pathu ngati pamene takhala munga ine ndabadwira popo ndakulira popo masiku umene maganizo amene otilibeya ndikwatenga ngati malowa ndi malo onongeka basi chifukwa ndi malo amene ife timafuna kuti tife moyo wathu utayike chifukwa cha malo ngati amene.
Ine mmene ndikuonera ikuonesa kuti makampani amenewo akuyenera osamapangidwa support chifukwa chonena kuti ndi anthu onena kuti sakusamala za miyoyo ya anthu.
Thanks. So you've heard directly there from a couple of the community members who were affected by this devastating flood. And as you've heard, the community alleges that the embankments built by Alovo ABF contributed to the impact of the flood on their community. So Water Witness commissioned the world's leading flood modelers to test and review the situation, and the conclusions were very clear. The embankments not only diverted the path of the flood into the village, but also increased the height of the floodwaters. And the flood modelers concluded that the embankments turned this dangerous flood into a catastrophic one. Next slide, please. So the legal case that's being brought by the villagers with the UK legal firm Leaday alleges essentially that this company was building their own climate resilience with these embankments, but that in fact increased the climate vulnerability of their neighbouring community. And as you heard, it resulted in the deaths of 7 people, including 2 children, the displacement of over 2,000 people, and the loss of homes, livestock, and livelihoods. 3 years on from the flood, more than 500 households are still living in temporary accommodation. In fact, UNICEF had raised concerns about access to wash in this location. And in fact, the last time that Water Witness visited, there appeared to be only 2 boreholes, neither of which were working at that time. So while this is a live legal case and we don't know what the legal outcome will be, how can this case, though, help drive corporate accountability on climate and water risks? So first and foremost, of course, it seeks to achieve some type of redress for the people of Kanseche and could be a way to compensate for some of what was lost. But more broadly, it demonstrates to corporates the reality of the risks to their business of failure to ensure fair water footprints, including climate resilience in their supply chains. They could very realistically face legal risk, not to mention associated reputational and of course financial risks, should they fail to manage water and climate appropriately in their operations. And thirdly, there's another angle to this. The case has already had quite substantial press coverage in the UK and internationally. For example, an in-depth piece in the Sunday Times in the UK, and lots of press interest for further articles as the case progresses. And this does the job of raising awareness with consumers and the public about how water is used to produce the goods that we buy and consume every day, when so often the water and the water impacts in that process is fairly invisible to the end consumer. By raising that awareness, it can help create demand for fair water footprints and indeed reputational risk for the companies who fall foul. And lastly, we're seeing an increasing use of legal levers in legal cases around the world, setting precedents and changing the regulatory and legislative frameworks under which corporations operate. So this case could ultimately help drive action and, importantly, accountability for human rights and climate impacts in communities where companies are operating. The case is expected to be heard in the English courts later this year. And as well as our hope for some justice for the people of Kanseche, we also hope it can help drive system-level changes in corporate accountability for more communities around the world facing water and climate vulnerabilities, ultimately with the goal of preventing future disasters like these rather than working back to try and redress them. With that, my thanks. Back to you, Dorcas.
Thank you very much, Lexi. That's a very thought-provoking piece, and as Lexi said, it's a piece that's actually really active at the moment. You know, so it's something that we're following very closely and watching carefully. Now, today you've heard from many people directly, and you can see the strong water governance and accountability, how essential it is to building climate resilience in the lives of the people we've seen today. And I'm sure, I know I'm talking to a lot of people who work with this directly themselves, so they also have seen and experienced and live with and work in communities affected by this firsthand. And before I wrap up, I just want to remind everybody that there are ways to become involved with Water Witness, there's a campaign to sign up to, there's the Fair Water Action Fund. There are a lot of different possibilities, and even wider than that, there are many, many ways to become involved. But before we go into that, I'd like to just invite Andy Roby, if you would like to say a few words on what you've seen today and your experience in this area. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, Dorcas. I won't be long. Just to say that I was fortunate and very shocked to visit that same site in Malawi, and it's very real and palpable, the damage there. And I know this is a case in process, and I won't comment any further. And I just want to encourage everybody to join the call to action, because this is something that we can only achieve in partnership with others on the ground. And I think, as I said this morning at the World Water Week talk show, that there's a real lack of accountability in water generally. And the more that we get together at grassroots level, nationally, with those arguments like the growth argument about water security, the more likely we are to get the sort of leadership needed to fix the water crisis. And the resilience in supply chains that I saw palpably in Malawi during my visits, Walter, great host as well as film star, it's such it's being repeated all over the world, but it really brings tears to your eyes when you realize how vulnerable people are at risk. And in the case of the legal case, and there are so many levers that we have not tried, and we want, through Fair Water Footprints, to explore these opportunities in cooperation and partnership with those on the ground. Thanks ever so much. It's been great, a great set of presentations, and I look forward to hearing more from you in due course. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Andy. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. So, as we said, to make a real difference, we have to act together. There isn't really a choice in that. Governments, donors, development partners, water users, citizens, journalists, researchers, companies, civil society. And if I haven't mentioned you, then be sure that you're there too. We need to fight for a secure water future where everyone has the water they need to live and to thrive. Please contact us if you would like to be involved with us, or we look forward to hearing how you are getting involved and to see if we can join you. As we said, the strong water governance is essential for climate resilience. We've given you examples of social and legal accountability. Perhaps you have others that you can share with us. But how can decision makers be held to account by those who are at the sharp end of the water crisis? Inclusive participation and collaboration is always very important to us. It's something that is very deep in our DNA, I would say. The choice before us is really stark. We can ignore the warning signs and face scarcity, conflict, and loss, or we can manage water fairly for a secure and just future together. I would say, in conclusion, don't lose hope. You know, sometimes we hear all these terrible things that are going on in the world, but I would say don't lose hope, because the challenge is clear, but remember, so is the opportunity. Thank you. Now, if you'd like to stay on your Mentimeter, we would really appreciate if you would just help us to understand if you found that session, if you found today's session valuable to you, or if you felt, well, I would have liked to hear about this, or I would have liked to hear about that, or I would have liked to hear more. Please tell us in the chat and help us on the Mentimeter for the evaluation of the session. Thank you. Before we wrap up for the day, can I thank all of you for attending and for giving your time to the session. Again, we really look forward to hearing from you if you would like to get in touch with us. Thank you so much for your time and for all of the effort that you have put into your work, I'm sure, because we're all in a water conference together here. So if you'd like to contact us, here we are. If you put CW25 as your subject, then we can group all of those emails coming in, or you can check our website to see if there are different ways that you might like to become involved. The email address is also in the chat. So if we'd like to flip back maybe to the evaluation slide, if we've got everybody there. Any others like to contribute there? And also, if you're thinking, how do I get into this Mentimeter? Again, the connection is in the chat again. Can you tell us what was the most useful takeaway for you? What are you coming out of this session thinking, I might follow up on that, or that's interesting, that's something that we're doing too. What was the most useful takeaway for you? You can type it into your phone and then it can come up on the screen. Don't be shy. There's no right and wrong. Everybody's got different things they'll take away. Thank you so much. Great. Understanding legal levers, learning about the Malawi case. Perfect. Hearing about the Fair Water Action Fund, water justice, tomato production, yeah. The legal routes, that's an interesting one too. The rights of rivers, perhaps. I think the person who's written, we need to take action in whichever small or big way we can. That's absolutely spot on, absolutely great. Working together is important to bring real change, yes. And whatever you bring to the table, small or big, it all makes a difference. I always in work like the analogy of snowdrops falling on a branch. They're very light, but one will break it. So you might be the one that makes the change by your small action. Perfect. We've also got in the chat the Fair Water Footprints programme, how to engage with the declaration. If you want to engage with the fund, Fair Water Action Fund, you can look on the website. There's a lot of detail there. Many different ways to take action. Yep, that's right. And as we said, we're very happy to hear. We realise that there are many of you that are doing very interesting things that can be interesting for us to join you. But if you want to join us too, that's also always of interest to us. I think we all have to work on this one together. It's a big challenge, but as I said, the opportunity is huge too. Thank you very much, everyone. We're going to stop the session there, but thank you for your interest and thank you for joining us today. Very, very great to see you all here. Thank you so much.